All right, perfect. Well, that works. So, well, now we're live. So I'm glad it worked because this is the first time I've ever done it. I know you guys have never done this. So hopefully I blasted it out to everybody to get it out there so everybody's on the call and get as many people as we can on here. And it's being recorded too. So anybody that does miss this will be able to post it afterwards and they'll be able to check it out. So I guess we'll kind of start with how I originally met you, Brian, which is what, that was like 5-6 years ago now.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years, and I was excited because I was just like, getting more so into the fitness industry, and I knew you were going to be a guest speaker, well, actually the keynote speaker for the business conference, fitness business conference that we're at, the Rhineley's Boot Camp. And I was excited for that because, again, being new, I was just starting to learn about you, everything that was going on with the IYCA, everything you'd done in the past, and seeing some YouTube videos and just hearing more about you. I was definitely excited to see you over everybody else that was on the great lineup. And the thing, that I was telling people the other day on the post that really struck me was your presentation alone, that I felt that it was really talking to me. And I know I'm probably not the only one in there that felt that way, but the presentation, it wasn't just here's slideshows and let me talk, blah, blah, very boring. It was genuine, and it really struck me with, I guess, kind of where I was, where I wanted to go and everything you said. And what topped it off with that was later that night we had the mixer, and I was like, I got to meet Brian. I got to, chat with him, and I didn't expect a whole lot. I was like, oh, he's this busy guy. He's probably got all kinds of people. And it struck me that you actually, I think we talked for probably 20, 30 minutes and really connected. And then from there, it's basically fast forward, 6 years now. And, then Carrie came into the picture a few years ago, and you guys have both been a huge influence on my life with personally, as a friendship that we've grown, and then also everything you guys are doing that really has changed my life. Is some people know, some people don't know of the kind of 180, I guess you could say, my life took a couple months ago from everything I'd kind of been planning for, fell out from under me, and I literally hit a low and reached out to you guys, and a lot of stuff that you're doing now with the CTSM, change of story method, and then personally chatting with you guys really made a huge difference from inside out to where I am now. So kind of fast forward through all of that, and the reason why I wanted to have Brian and Carrie on, I guess I'll announce the little special thing now, is some people that you guys have been following my Facebook feed, the fitness transformation retreats, more so not a fitness retreat, but transformation retreat that we have going on this summer in July. I haven't really said anything, but Brian and Carrie are actually coming out, which is a rare occasion. To me, I don't know you guys have ever done anything like that. And it's such a small, unique environment that it literally is like a first time and probably the last time that it'll ever happen of them being a guest at something like this. So I'm excited for that. It's been something I've been wanting to say forever, and I was going to wait till the end of the call of this, but whatever. Hey, cat's out of the bag, announce it now so everybody knows. And with that being said, with the transformation retreat, one thing why I wanted to bring Brian and Carrie out is it really playing in with the experience that I want everybody to have. It's not a fat loss retreat or a weight loss retreat. It's really on focusing on you and working from the inside out to not just have you be healthy and have a happy life with fitness and losing weight, but a lasting result. And I'll let Brian kind of get into more of that, of why it's more than just working out that is going to make the change with the whole story that starts internally and will blossom to the outside as well.
We're all pretty awesome on this call. I can't help but say that off the top. That was awesome. Matty, I think you could get really clever and long-winded with this kind of information, but I think it's very simple if you just break it down to the finest points. Carrie and I have this thing called a success triad. And we apply it to fitness, we apply it to business, we apply it to our relationship or relationship at large. But essentially, the success triad is obviously a triangle triad, so it has 3 points. And insofar as fitness, the 3 points are very, very basic. There's the how-to, there is the circumstance and situation, and then there's the mindset. And I think that the thing that we always teach from a fitness perspective regarding our brand of coaching, which is Inside Out, is that fitness and fat loss, the how-to exists everywhere. I mean, there's probably a billion websites at this point that you could Google search and find free or very low-cost information on how to get in good shape, how to lose fat. So nobody has a prohibitive factor that's based on how to do it. We can find that very, very simply. The second part of the triad is your circumstance and situation. Everyone's got a story or an excuse or a reason as to why they can't get into great shape or lose fat. But the circumstance and situation, number one, is based on a perception. That's something we teach a great deal of in CPSM, the whole concept of perception and interpretation. But to bring that down to its finest points, right now in the world, there are thousands upon thousands of people, and I'm speaking to whoever is listening right now. There are thousands upon thousands of people who have more difficult situations and more arduous circumstances to overcome than you do, and yet they're still fit. So situations and circumstances really, it reduces down to the perception of a story. And what we try to do when we talk to people in that part of the triad is just remind them that there is no situation that can be overcome without simply a perspective shift. That's it, that's all. And if that's all true, meaning how-to is very easy to find, situation and circumstance is nothing more than a perspective shift, then the only reason you aren't in the greatest shape of your life, you don't have body fat percentage, for example, you might want, is the third part of the triad, the mindset. It's a belief system. It's a complete unconscious story you're carrying about yourself, about your ability or your capacities, and about what you're capable of. And so that's where we come in. We're not trainers. We're not fitness coaches. We were. But the reason Carrie and myself kind of left that part of what we were doing and moved into the neuroscience of the brain is simply because we realized that 100% of our clients, their only prohibition was up here. Their only difficulty was in their brain. It wasn't because they didn't know what to do. It wasn't because they had situations that were too difficult to overcome. It's because they had stories that were locking them in to a specific prohibition that they simply couldn't overcome. So we started to investigate all of that and essentially came up with a program called the Change the Story Method. And that's exactly what it is. Life is a story. And we help you understand that story and then change it so that the how-to is easy, the situation no longer becomes a problem, and all of a sudden you have success.
You know, I'm just going to jump in real quick, and sorry if that deviates you, Matt. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, everything that Brian has said is so powerful, and I'm just thinking about, you know, whoever's listening right now from a practical standpoint. You know, we see it all the time. Just think about the people who, you know, go on the crash diet and the 6-week training program and achieve great results, right? Because for those 6 weeks, they have changed their lives to accommodate whatever the circumstances need be to fit into that mold of that diet or that training regimen. Right. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, what happens? They go backwards. Yeah. They go back to where they started. And I mean, we talk about yo-yo dieting all the time, right, in the fitness industry. And so it clearly, like what Brian said, the how-to is there for you. The circumstances and the situation can be modified. Yeah. So the fact that you're falling back has nothing to do with the how-to or the circumstance. The fact that you're in that repeat cycle always comes back to what is triggering you to be back there. Yeah. And that's in essence exactly where the story sits.
I'm going to add one more thing. Apparently, Maddie, you are not needed on this call whatsoever.
This is what we do.
Carrie and I just talked. I'm just going to add one more thing if that's okay. That, you know, Matt, you said that we don't do this very often. We don't. We don't do this at all very often. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one is that Carrie and I have a very thriving international business. We're busy. Number two, we're both athletes ourselves. So we have a very rigid training and nutrition schedule that we follow very happily. And we don't enjoy being taken away from that. And perhaps the most important reason is we have 2 kids, and we We like to be around them. We have a great family setting here. So, but one of the things that made us very excited about this opportunity with you is because of the great deal of respect we have for you. But the other reason is because we both like what you're talking about. You're not talking about, fat loss, quick fixes. You're talking about transformation. And I think because Carrie said this and reminded me, anybody can really create a pretty simple, basic nutritional training program that lasts 6 weeks, convinces someone to do it, and they get results. But those results are very short-lived. They don't last forever because they haven't changed the mindset. Your program is only a few days. So clearly you're not really creating lifestyle changes for people by handing them a 6 weeks how-to that gives them a false positive on success. You're actually bringing them together for just a few short days and giving them the tools necessary for them to go home and do it for themselves, because that's what it takes for long-term success. So I like that a lot. I think that's the only way to do it. And the fact that you take the mindset part of it as equally important as nutrition and training is necessary. So we think that's awesome. Basically, you're awesome.
Yeah, and I definitely would say a lot of that has come from you, from the years I've known you, kind of taking me and mentoring me, learning from both of you guys, and, growing from our friendship and constantly always learning from you guys. Everything, it's transferred over into my coaching style, and it's kind of funny that it wasn't like something I forced. It just naturally happened because the same thing is like you see all this stuff, and I'm like, why is this person not getting the results? Or there's so many people that said, oh, I have tried this, I've tried that, or I was getting results, and then I went back, and now I weigh more than I did, or, I felt really great, and then it's a yo-yo back and forth. It's really rare, you see all these success stories all over, but they're really rare because of those things, and that's where I started to kind of learn, well, it's really not about the actual training program. Obviously, the training and the nutrition are important, but as you and I have talked in the past with the previous video we did with the membership site I have on mindset, it is the key, and I learned a lot of that from you, so I'm very thankful for both of you guys for that. And I keep, for some reason, not looking at my camera and looking at the other screen at you guys, like sitting in front of me, so people are wondering why my eyes are all over. So ADD there, but I learned a lot of my coaching from you with that, and that's what, it's kind of funny that I get those compliments all the time, and it's not to like boost my ego or anything like that to say this, but I get that from people because they're like, there's something different about you with how you coach. You're not just, you want people to get results, but you actually truly care, and you focus on the mindset and actually coaching people how to change, not just here's what you need to do to work out. Oh, don't eat this, eat that, work out harder. There's a time and a place, because obviously that's part of it, but none of that is going to matter. And it's like I'm going to waste my time and waste someone else's time if I don't see, okay, what got you to the point of where you are now to where you want help, and how can we change that to change the future? Because it doesn't matter what we do from this point on now if we don't focus on what got you there in the past and what's really there. And that's why I like dive in. I know you're not a big fan of goals, but I dive in with a lot of people because it's, for me, I've used it in my coaching to really find out that deep story of why people are there and what got them to that point. Instead of, you hear a lot of people, and you can get deep into goals of why, I just want to lose some weight. Well, that's not really that great to use, but when you dig deep in, why do you want to lose weight, or why did you get here now, or why do you eat emotionally, or have a food addiction, which I just wrote another article about that today. It's, you really dig deep into those things, and that's how you cause the change. And with that retreat, that's kind of why we are promoting it that way, of a transformation, because there's so many retreats or fat loss camps and things like that out there for anywhere from a couple days to ones where you actually go and stay, which is a future thing we plan on doing, like month-long type things with intensive coaching. but they all are just, they want to kill people, you know, super low calories, and because they, you know, they want to get people these crazy results real quick. So we're going to eat barely any food. We're going to have you train like 10 times a day. You get 10 minutes of rest to yourself, and then the next day it starts over again. Yeah, those people might lose a pretty good amount of weight in that, you know, 3 days to 7 day period. But what about afterwards? Because they didn't focus on anything of what to do after. They might say, here's a program, here's what you want to eat afterwards. But again, it's missing the main piece of, well, when they get home, they have all those external things in their life that are affecting them internally on what they're going to actually do and what got them to the point to actually show up to that place in the first place. So that's where a lot of people miss, and that's what I've been putting out there and what the people that have already signed up for, because we really don't have a lot of spaces left for the 2 different retreats that I have this year. So if people are interested, definitely jump on it. We'll get to that later, but I'm excited for it because of that and the transformation. People are like, wow, it's so great, and they're looking forward to the group activities and the overall experience, because I know everybody, and when I talk to them about it and, you know, get people to interview and see if they're right for it and sign them up, they can hear that from everything I say of, like, you know, we're going to do a lot of coaching. It's me being there, answering questions for you, really caring about you making that change and literally leaving a new person, not just physically on the outside, but on the inside, and having the life that you want, not just in fitness, but take that back to your family or to your life, to every aspect of your life, whether it's a relationship and kids, things like that. And that's what's important to me, and why I really wanted to do this, you know, transformation retreat, and why I brought you guys out, because I know 100% anybody that comes to it, it's going to be like the most amazing experience that they've had, not just because of the activities and the training for those that want to lose the weight, but also what's going to go on behind the scenes that is outside of the training, because training is not going to take that long. There's going to be a lot of majority of talking and coaching and getting to know each other and really digging deep into all of these things with life, not just fitness. So that's why I'm really excited for it and really looking forward to it coming up in just a few months now.
You know, I have to, I got to say, like, first of all, like, I have to commend you on doing what you do the way you do it, because, obviously, you know, for me, I kind of transitioned out of the fitness industry into what we're doing now because of the fact of that hole that I saw, right? You know, it was such an obvious hole. But my favorite kind of, like, story we used to illustrate it is the whole, like, the reality that, like, everybody knows that if you have a chocolate bar or an apple, the apple is a better choice than a chocolate bar. Mm-hmm. Nobody in the world needs to be taught that, right? Like, you know, so, and yet people still choose a chocolate bar. So the reason they're choosing the chocolate bar is not a lack of intelligence. You know, it's not a lack of know-how. Mm-hmm. It really is. It boils down to that deeper layer of the story of what's triggering them to choose a chocolate bar. And I think that the biggest difference is that, you know, when we talk about, like, the immediate how-tos and, like, the 6-week programs and stuff like that only deal with the outside layer, is that we're talking about the difference between an immediate gratification versus a lifetime change. You know, a life transformation that is going to allow for continual ascension and growth, that doesn't have a stopping point whereby, okay, now we've reached the 6-week mark, and now you've reached your goals, and now what? And the life transformation is just always a better course of action, you know?
Yeah, and it's true. You know, it's funny that you bring that up, because people know, people aren't stupid. There's so much information out there. People know what they should or shouldn't be doing. And the funny thing is, I come across it all the time, and I know you guys do that. People, they literally know I shouldn't be eating this. Yeah, there's some people that, like I wrote today with food addiction and emotional eating, there's a population that they're unconsciously eating, and they don't understand it, but there's a large portion that they're like, I know I emotionally eat. I know I shouldn't be eating this, but they still do. And that's where the actual digging inside is going to change. Someone just telling you to work out and don't eat this and don't eat that, you know, you should be eating this, it's not going to do anything for you. And a lot of people are they don't like that because they're like, I know this. You know, that's not going to help me. You're telling me something I already know. Instead, having someone to sit, okay, we are going to start eating this, but here's how we break that pattern. You know, here's why are you doing that, and how can we change that? Where, again, a lot of people, and it's sad because there's so many people in the fitness industry that bypass all of this because some just don't understand, or they just don't really care about it. They just, you know, oh, I want to get you to lose weight really fast. And that, you know, it's a big thing with marketing, obviously, because people want to lose weight, but it's also like a double-edged sword that the other side of it is it makes it harder for us and a negative kind of on the industry, because I come across so many people now that they're like, oh, well, I tried this, I tried that, I tried this, I tried that, and you know, I'm afraid to try something new because it never worked before and I failed, or, you know, what makes it different? In a way, it's harder, but on the other side, it is almost easy because I say, well, here's why it's different. Here's what we're actually going to do. But getting those people to actually get to that point to explain it and start it's hard. So I hope everybody that does see this, or that all the people I know that are going to come to the transformation retreat, it's hard because I can't explain it. Like, I'm trying to find words to explain what I know is going to actually happen there, and the transformation that is going to happen with all of those people, between all three of us talking, and then with the group. Like, it's literally like there's nothing else out there. I know when you guys have done stuff before with seminars, things like that, or when I met you, it's larger groups. It's not such an intensive, like, personal, like, one-on-one experience, and that's why I was super excited, because I could say I'm going to totally have fun just hanging out with you guys, doing it, and everything that we're going to learn anyway. So for me, it's almost fun. So I know for other people that don't know you guys or haven't done, you know, the personal intensive one-on-one coaching between you or me, it's going to be an amazing experience. And I'm just excited more than anything for all the people that are coming, and the people that decide they still want to come for the open spots that are still there, because it's not going to happen again. I wish it could, because I want to do it for everybody. But I'm excited for the people that are actually going to take that step and say, you know what, enough's enough, and I want to try something. I want to do something different, and will help you actually make that difference in your life. And I guarantee they'll leave happier than they ever have, and they'll continue that process afterwards as well, because it's not like I'm going to disappear or anything like that. They can still follow you on Facebook, they can follow me, I'll still be there to help coach people. You know, that's kind of the whole part of the program. It's, you know, I'm excited. I've been looking forward to it forever. It's been something I've wanted to do, and now it's actually happening. So it's almost like a dream come true in a way for me, because I've always talked to you of like, you know, I can't wait, you know, we need to do something together, you know, I want to do something together, and now it's finally kind of happening. So for me, it's an awesome experience in that alone, and that's what I want to share with everybody else.
That's awesome. I just love that word, awesome. The three of us are awesome.
Yeah, I also think that, like, I think you're right, Matt. Like, we don't do such intimate events. It's usually larger scale, you know, seminars. And when we have done more intimate one-on-one or small group setting things, I think that the thing that everybody takes away from it the most is just the opportunity to talk and learn, you know, and share their experiences. It allows us the opportunity to become more, you know, more familiar with each individual, where they're at and what their challenges are, what their complexities in life are, and really open up dialogue about how to start that transformation. So it definitely, the intimate, smaller environment definitely lends to, you know, a very fulfilling experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why I'm only keeping it to, you know, around 8 or 9 people, because once it gets to so many, yeah, it's great to have more people, because it's like, oh, we can help change more lives, but it's almost like, well, where does the outcome of what we want change in that because you can't, like I say, you can't have that as much of a personal experience when there's more and more people. And that's why I know it's great because, I've even talked to a few people recently that said they saw you guys at the, I forget the name of it, the last conference you were at in London, or anybody that meets you guys briefly. They're like, wow, Brian and Carrie are so amazing. I would love to spend some more time with them, or, man, I can't, hopefully they do something. And I know people that just briefly meet you guys totally have like a change in perspective, or hear you talk at a conference just like I did. It totally changed my life. And, I write that on here. I put it on Facebook. Like it's not like a marketing thing that I just made up. Like what I wrote was a true story. Like it actually happened. It's not made up. I didn't like add some fancy words in there or try to blow up the story. It really was true, and it really did happen. And I remember even when the first time I started working with you a little bit more one-on-one, I was like, oh, it was the coolest thing ever for me. I was like, here's this guy that I totally look up to, and he's totally awesome. He's made a huge impact in my life, and now I get to like call him on the phone or like on Skype, and we get to chat.
I remember those days actually. Wow, that's funny, Matt. No, you didn't embellish. That was a real story. I can verify that. I remember it well.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And I can get in, to. I guess we can dive a little bit more personally on, what's going to happen within the transformation with the retreat with everybody is. I can say personally, when I've talked with Brian and Carrie probably know more personal shit about me than anybody else. And I can say they know things that nobody else knows except for them. I can be totally honest with that. And opening up to them and sharing those things have been a huge impact in my life because they've helped on what I need to do on the inside. And it's totally different. And again, it's the way that I've started to coach now too, of not, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that because this is what I would do. It's focused on you and the inside of you, not based off of my opinion or Brian and Carrie's opinion. It's really about you and helping give you the tools to you guide yourself in the right direction, not just what we think you should do, where people say, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's guiding you, and that makes that lasting change because it's not someone else's opinion or based off of their past experiences or their own personal story. It's on your story, and we're going to give you the tool on what you should be doing, what will help you. And again, it's not just made up. I know a lot of this stuff is based with what you guys do and what I do is based off of science, like how the body actually works, why we are so against change, the fight or flight. That's a natural thing. People don't understand, like when you change your routine, when you're stuck in this emotional eating or what you've been doing and you change that routine, it's a natural reaction to be uncomfortable and to fight against it. So knowing what you need to do to change that story on the inside so you don't feel that way, or past experience, like for me being a drug addict and having family issues when I was younger, that is what kind of pushed me into the direction of doing drugs severely for a few years and going down a totally self-destructive path and really starting to focus on the inside. A lot of that I started to do before I met Brian, but it really changed when I met Brian and really started to notice why. I kind of didn't know what I was doing, why I did, but there wasn't a true connection until I started to actually dig in and feel the same. That's why I say when I first originally saw Brian speak, I felt like it was talking to me based off of all of those things. And even to today, a lot of the stuff that, still lingers that I'm, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifelong process, as you guys know. There's still things that I've slowly have worked through and that are still there, things that happened in the past few months that I had to change because it was like a story that I was believing based off of another person and in a relationship and things like that. And it was something I had to work through and say, hey, you know what, that was that, and that's not really who I am, and not let that control me and the outcome and the happiness of my life. And I can say, yeah, it sucks, this and that, and all these things that I could say with it, and would, wish you could change the past, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the path that I know I need to be now, and I feel happier than ever, and I can say that that's due to a lot of the things that now I teach and that Brian and Carrie teach everybody now and taught me personally as well.
Yeah, well, Maddie, one of the things I think was important about all that is, first of all, anybody who's going to be at your transformation retreat, the first thing we'll teach them is all the dirty shit we know about you that no one else knows. We're going to reveal all that stuff first. And second, after that,
what's worth the money alone right there?
Yeah, it's a big ticket stuff, but no, you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously we have a very close friendship, Matt, and so we exchange thoughts and emotions on a regular basis. But for everyone who's listening to what Matt just said, I think it's it can feel like a pressure cooker almost, like it's a small, intimate setting, 8 or 9 people, and then you've got 2 people in front of you who have a really good innate ability to get the truth out of you, which is what we need to move forward. But that can sound like a pressure cooker. So I just want to kind of say, for Carrie and myself, one of the things we teach is total vulnerability. In order to dissect your story, get to the root of the story, and then eventually change the story, or immediately change the story, you have to be vulnerable with that story. We have, Matt, you talk about science. We draw a lot from neuroplasticity and social neuroscience. A lot of sciences that cover brain activity, perception, etc. And what the human brain is really good at doing is creating diversions. We are fantastic at taking a situation, modifying it 1% in our memory, even 1%. But that 1% shift changes everything about the perspective of that memory, which changes everything about how we feel moving forward in our lives. So for us, full vulnerability is an absolute necessity in terms of developing the mindset, the mental set you need for success. But having said that, it's not anything you need to reveal to us, right? So, Matt, you and us, we have a great friendship, a great relationship, so we talk. But for your transformation retreat attendees, we have tools. We have tools that we teach that allow you to be honest with yourself. So, no, you certainly can disclose to us. That's part of what we do for a living. But we also provide you tools where you can actually learn to be vulnerable and honest to yourself. And that way you shorten that dissonance gap where your brain knows one thing, but you're trying to make it think something else. And that gap can be very detrimental. But we help you shorten that gap, get to the truth, and it could be to us. You could talk to us most assuredly, but we also give you tools where you can do it independently. For us, it doesn't matter who you're vulnerable to as long as you're vulnerable. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I also want to add to the vulnerability thing in terms of because it is uneasy for a lot of people, for I would say probably most people. But I think that one of the things that I take pride in the fact that we do is that we're vulnerable to you.
Absolutely.
Like we're not standing here, with PTSM Change the Story method saying, here, do this, and maybe it's going to work. Yeah. We're sitting here and we can say, do this because we do it and we know it works.
Absolutely.
So CTSM has been built off of, obviously science and spirituality, but our experiences. We are the first students of CTSM who live and breathe it every single day of our lives. And so that means that when we're working with people, we're not afraid to tell you about our stories. Yeah. We're not afraid to tell you about our own journeys and be vulnerable about, I can relate because of this, or, this reminds me of that. Like, we teach through our own experience.
Absolutely.
And I think that, if you're sitting on the line and, like Brian said, a little bit being like, apprehensive, know that, like, we're not coming at you from a place of anything other than having experienced similar or the same, maybe just, at a different point on the journey.
Absolutely.
And I think that offers for a lot of people, in my experience, when I've been working with people, comfort.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, at any one time in our respective histories, we've been involved in abusive relationships. We've both had horrible financial costs. I almost had to declare bankruptcy twice. Myself, I've been very unhappy. We've been through it. We've been through a lot in our respective lives. So yes, I think that's a very important point. I think sometimes those Vaseline smiling motivational speakers, just you want to wring their necks just a little bit because they kind of pontificate this incredible superiority if they have all the answers. And it's almost like a guru worship. You want to know what they know and be like them, but we're just real people who have had some major struggles in our lives. We refuse to continue being victims of those struggles. We essentially fought back, but we did it without being combative. We learned why we were the reasons behind all of our own individual problems. We realized and learned about social neuroscience and neuroplasticity and how we can actually modify what we think through tools. And yes, we practice CDSM daily, but our lives are golden. I mean, we're happy, we're blissful, we do great financially, we're both in great. I don't know, I could keep going, but everything is lovely. And if you would have asked us both 10 years ago if this is the way life was going to look in a decade, we would have said no. It would probably be more of what it was. We've experienced all this stuff, and that's how we live.
You just hit on responsibility, right? Yep. And just to put it out a little bit further, with transformation, but obviously very centered on fitness and nutrition, right? So just think about it for a second. To be able to take back the power of what you might be thinking has been removed from you.
Right.
I can't do this because my genetics won't allow me to. Yep. I've tried all the diets, but none of them work for me. I have this injury, so I can't squat, whatever the case may be. Think about the absolute unbelievable power to be able to take that back and recognize that you really can. 100%. That I think that's one of the things that CTSM does is it teaches you how to recognize that really, truly, everything is within your hands. Mm-hmm. And it's mindset, understanding your mindset to be able to claim that, to reclaim well, to be honest with you, what is yours to begin with, yep. And no longer blaming external factors or the environment or the situation or your past or anything like that. It's an incredibly freeing experience to go through.
Very much.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on that one as far as the free experience, that it goes through. I can, I'll be open and honest here with everybody. There's some things that I guess doors that I still have open in my past that I plan on closing, and I've done a few of it this year of, so far of, forgiving people, accepting an apology that you'll never get, and when I started to do that, I thought of it, you and I had talked about it, I've read about it in some of the books that you've recommended to me and things like that, and it's such a freeing experience when you let that go, because it's like, I let that off, that's in the past, and you're owning yourself again and not letting that other person control you. Because if you sit and you think like you want to get an apology from somebody, or you don't forgive them for being who they are, don't blame them, just forgive them for who they are, it's such an experience that it's hard to put into words, but it totally changed me. And that's one thing I've done over the past few months that has helped me become not only happier on the inside, but healthier and pushing to what I want, having the life I want, doing the things I want with the gym, and now helping other people do the same thing. And that's, again, one of the whole reasons for the retreat is, yeah, we want to have fun. For me, it's like playtime, and I enjoy helping to coach people because I want to do that, but I want people to feel that transformation as well, whatever it is, if it's something from within themselves. And some of these people, I think that'll come, aren't even going to know some of the things that they'll be honest and discover within themselves. And I know that's going to be huge, because and that's why I say it's going to literally change someone's life, because they're going to find these things, and whether it's consciously or subconsciously, it's something that's been on them, holding them down, pulling them down for so long, it's going to be a lifting, freeing experience when they finally do that. And we're not saying that it's going to happen overnight. Like I said, there's still things I need to do that I want to do this year, and things that I've been working on for a few years. It's not going to happen overnight, but when it does, you'll notice it right then, because I think there are some things that will happen there with people when they leave. They'll be like, wow, this is great, or they'll start to notice, like, here's what I'm going to do to make that change. And it's geared around fitness and having a healthy, happy life, but the fitness, it expands when you're healthy, and fitness is on the inside too, obviously, because it's the body, not just the aesthetic portion of it. When you have that, it's going to expand into all areas of your life. I know it's made a huge difference for me, for the people I have in my life. I know people that I've talked to, or that I've Skyped with recently, people that haven't seen me in a while, and they were like, wow, you look really good. You look so happy. And it's because of those things that I've been doing, thanks to you guys, that I've learned now that I'm teaching other people, and that I want to do within this retreat and stuff. It's such a great experience to have and to push forward. And again, it's helping me, within the gym even. Two of my, end of the year goals that I wanted within the gym with my lifting, I hit like last month. We're not even 6 months in, and I didn't. And I know a lot of that is because I let things go. And it might sound funny, like, well, how can doing that make you lift more weight? It's not obviously making me magically lift more weight or something, but it's where I'm at on the inside and what I'm doing that is expanding to the outside now of what I do in business, what I'm doing with coaching, what I'm doing personally within the gym with myself and coaching people. It expands to everywhere.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, man.
Perfect. Well, I kind of want to dive into a couple things of what, as far, because I could go on all these things of what I would like to talk about, what we want to do. Trying to think of a good way to explain it without not saying like giving away of everything we're going to do, but so that people that are listening that are like, maybe this is for me, maybe I want to be there, what are kind of some of the things that they can expect, like when we are in a group that we're going to be talking about, based off of your experience, what you guys have done with other people, that can kind of help them understand, like people you've worked with, and here's some of the things we've done, and here's what's happened in these other people's lives.
Well, I think we always enjoy, in a short period of time, teaching the core concepts of CDSM. It starts with awareness, understanding self-awareness. We have an amazing ability to just go through life mindlessly and without feeling it. And a lot of things happen to us, through us, and within us that we're not even aware of. And so awareness is what we always call it, is the panacea, it's the cure-all. When we become more self-aware, we begin to sniff out the stories, the mindset deficits we have, and where the dissonance lies. So awareness is where we always start, and that tends to move us into other core concepts in CDSM, like accountability. That one way we always phrase it, is that it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility, because we often have very victimized mindsets that, again, it's situational or circumstantial. It's his fault, it's my injury's fault, it's that person's fault, it's this situation's fault. If we were to remove blame from everybody, meaning we can't project it out and we can't internalize it ourselves, then what are we left with? We're left with a situation that needs to change, or an injury that needs to heal. And what we try to do then is empower people to take responsibility without blame. Because once we're responsible for our lives, we no longer live under the pretense that we are at the mercy of things that we can't explain, or that guy's pain in the ass tendencies, or my knee injury won't go away. We assume accountability for things, and that helps us create change. We talk about adaptation. That adaptation is very passive at first, meaning creating change is not so much a creation, it's an allowance. And what we mean by that is we have prohibitions, we have stories, we have victimized mindsets, we have blame mindset. All of these things prevent change from happening naturally. And that's what change is. We live in an evolving universe. Nothing is still. Everything is growing, always in motion, just like us. At the microscopic level, we are not, fixed beings. We are constantly in motion of atoms and particles and electrons. So if we are not changing in our lives for the better, it's not because we have to actively go and create change. It's because we are somehow resisting change from happening all by itself. And that's adaptation. We teach you to remove those barriers to allow change to happen all by itself. So and those are the core concepts of CPSM, and that's a lot of what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Wrapped around that, I'd say, not wrapped around that actually, aside from that, I'd say that a lot of what we're going to be doing is listening.
Yes.
We, part of, parlaying off what Brian said is like, we're tuned into listening for stories and what we refer to as obsessive compulsive language, OCL. We don't recognize in everyday life how much what we say is, which is coming from our subconscious, is dictating our actions.
Right.
So, in a short period of time, we're going to listen a lot and be able to identify what we're hearing.
Yes.
And draw attention to it, so that it allows you to go through the process of what Brian just described.
Yeah.
Because I bet you anything you don't recognize what you're saying to yourself or what you're saying out loud. The number of times, that I've experienced a moment where I've said to somebody, do you realize that you just said, I can't do this for the 20th time in 10 minutes?
Precisely.
The reason you can't do it, you keep telling yourself you can't. And so there's a responsibility on our part to listen and point out and share with you what we're hearing and what we're seeing. And that, that just comes from our experience of working one-on-one with people.
Becoming conscious of your language, both internal self-dialogue and how you speak, is probably our number one important detail that we really teach people. It's that you are creating your life by the thoughts you keep and the way you express it verbally. Parlaying off what Carrie just said, every time someone says to me, I can't do this, my answer is always the same. You're right. Mm-hmm. Because you keep telling yourself you can. And that sounds contrite or ridiculous. But we don't believe at all in positive affirmations. We have a lot of science that has shown very recently positive affirmations only become effective in people who already have quality mindsets. In people who don't have quality mindsets, it creates a dissonance, meaning you're trying consciously to convince yourself that you can do it, but your unconscious brain is saying, no, you can't. And so we don't try to namby-pamby this by saying just think positive and say good affirmations every day, because we know it doesn't work. Instead, we teach you to be wary and aware of what you're saying now. Start there. And once you have that down as an awareness tool, you can move on.
Yeah. And that's where the path of change comes in, right? Because the minute you start to become aware, you catch yourself. And I always tell people, like, we're planting a seed.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at how much by, like, just even one time being pointed out, do you recognize that you just said, I can't 5 times in 5 minutes?
Exactly.
How much the next time you find yourself doing that, you're like, oh, I just did it again. Yeah. That's how it starts. And it's the path of change that comes from there.
Yeah, and it's funny that you guys mentioned that, because a lot of that is transferred from learning it from you guys into my life, and now I coach that with other people saying, well, I don't have time, or I don't have this, or I can't do it, or I can't do that, and it's like, it's the same of like, well, yeah, of course, like, if that's your attitude, then of course you can't. You're not going to have the time. It's not about like, just make the time. It's deeper than that. That could be almost like an affirmation thing of like, you have the time, just make it. That's what everybody says, and I've said that before, but it's deeper than that. And saying I can't, or I'm going to try. And that's my biggest one that I've fought for a while, and I'm actually have come a long way with it. And I catch myself with that now when I say, oh, yeah, I'll try. And I'm like, I mean, I'm going to. And I'll literally say that to people in the conversation when I say I'll try, and you're like, oh, wait, I don't mean try. And I will rephrase what I'm going to say, because to them, they're like, what? It might not mean a difference to them, but to me, it's meaning a difference consciously and then subconsciously as well, breaking that habit. And if I say try, I'm already subconsciously in my head setting it up that it might not happen. And so that's going to affect the outcome that I want. It's not like you're going to magically not say try anymore and everything's going to always happen, because as we know, that's not how life works. But when you make that change, a lot of things will start to actually fall in place and work for you. Not, oh, I've tried to lose 10 pounds before, but it never works out. Or I tried this and I tried that. It might sound silly to some people, but that actually does matter when you say, I did this and it didn't work, or I did that, okay, I'll try this, or I don't know what to try anymore. Like you said, when I hear these things, it's like, well, no wonder. No wonder none of them worked, or no wonder you're at where you are now, and you're having that resistance to the change again. Your body's automatically reacting because of what you've told yourself. It's like, don't even go and do something different now, because you're telling yourself, I've tried this, I've tried that, nothing's worked. So it's like, don't even do it. And it's fighting against you subconsciously to actually do something else and really make that change that time. So it's crazy that, you guys mentioned that, and that it's rubbed off to me now, and that I catch that with other people. And it's more than just making time or trying to do something. It's that internal and external talk that you have with yourself that does make a huge difference. It's about being within fitness or in business, whatever you want to do, or your personal relationship life. That's another one with people that they hear of, well, oh, there's just no good people out there, or they're all the same, or they're this or that. It's like, well, no wonder you don't find anybody good, or all the people are horrible, all the girls are this, or all the guys are assholes. Well, that's what you're attracting to yourself, because that's what you keep telling yourself, so you don't see everything else that's out there. It's like you have blinders. You don't notice what else is going on around you because of what you're telling yourself.
Yep. All very true.
Yeah. Okay. So, I can keep saying over and over how excited I am to do all of this. I know you guys are. Anybody that has been watching this, and by the way, somebody said you have really pretty hair and you have a really nice beard.
Wait, who's got a pretty beard?
I don't have
It's
any.
Definitely not my stubble going on right now.
Awesome.
I was gonna say that they said I had pretty hair, but So with that being said, anybody that is going to watch the replay of this or is watching this, I'm going to be posting this up a lot, putting it out there now that we've kind of announced it with Brian and Carrie coming. We have a limited amount of spots left. If anybody is interested, or maybe you don't know if it's right for you, because again, we're not going to take everybody. I have to talk to every person because we want the right people there that are going to fit within the group. We don't want someone that maybe you're just not ready for it. Then that could be true, and it sucks because I want to have everybody there, but I have talked to some people that I'm just like, you're not right for the group because it's not going to mesh with what we're trying to do and what everybody else is coming to try and do. It's just going to kind of throw it off. So that's something with the personal experience there that not anybody can come and just sign up. People can't just go online. There's not even a website for you to go to and sign up and pay. If someone was like, well, I'm going to come anyways, and they pay, you have to actually go through me, not sounding like a gatekeeper or anything, but I want to actually talk with somebody and find out really more about you, not to just sell somebody, which a lot of people think is what it is. I want to know the person and actually talk to you and help you right then and there before someone even comes, get you going on the right path. So if someone is interested, or like saying maybe you just want to chat, I've been throwing it up on Facebook, like free coaching calls for anybody that wants it. I'm offering it just because I enjoy doing it and I want to help people. And if somebody does want to come to the retreat, great. If they don't, hey, I spent that hour and I helped change something in their life. that's worth it for me right there. So if anybody wants to check that out, I'll post up links. You know, Brian and Carrie on Facebook with all their stuff. I'll post up links for that. The days are, it's July 3rd through, what is it? July 3rd through the 7th are the actual days that I'm going to be out there and we're going to be out there. That being said, post up comments. You can go to trainwithmatty.com. It has a couple simple questions. I think there's like 5 or 6 really base questions on like why you think you would be great to come, this and that. And at the bottom it says schedule, and it'll pop up an online schedule system of mine. Click the time that works best for you, and we'll get on a coaching call for at least an hour and go over all of this stuff. And I can go into more detail personally with you if you want to ask me questions. And then we can also, if you're interested in coming to the retreat and being one of the, you know, lucky few, I guess you could say. It sounds cheesy, but to me, it is going to be lucky for the people that actually take action and come to this, because I know what they're going to get out of it. And if you want info on it, I'll be more than happy to share it with you, let you know more about it. But if you just want to chat and you want some coaching, I'm there for you. So, you know, I appreciate you guys taking the time, because I know you're so busy.
Always, man. No worries. Always.
And, you know, I'm looking forward to all of this, and then looking forward to come see you guys before, too, and eat tons of sushi.
Yeah!
You know, you're talking about the pot, you know, that's in the environment that's going to explode. It's going to be a bomb of awesomeness in sushi.
Sushi and awesomeness explosion. Yay. Nice.
All right. So, again, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Thank you for Brian and Carrie for checking this out. Again, trainwithmatty.com if you want to know more info. If not, and you never want to talk to us, well, thanks for still watching, and I hope you still got something out of it anyways. I appreciate people taking the time. I appreciate Brian and Carrie taking the time, and I know everybody's busy, so if you took the time to actually watch this, it's awesome to me, and it's humbling in a way that someone actually wants to take their time and listen to this. And then if you actually want to have a call, it's what I love to do, you know. I enjoy it. I love helping people, as many people as I can. Same thing with you guys, to really help change lives. If it's one person, I'm completely happy with that. So awesome. Well, I'll stop it here. Again, anybody, trainwithmatty.com, and I'll also post up links on bikinibodybeauty.com is where this video will be. And there, again, more info on all that and on how to sign up with the calls as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And stay tuned for another broadcast another time. All right. See you guys.